Hey everybody, Steve here from The Varied Life, and today we are asking the question that you can see here, 3D resin printing, dive into Lychee Slicer Library subscription. Yay or nay? Yeah, this is going to be very interesting. As a person who uses Lychee Slicer Pro, in other words, I do resin printing and I print out cool stuff, kind of like we end up having this model here of Deadpool and a plethora of other stuff that I have in the background, a ton of miniatures and figures. Here's another one that you can take a look at. I know it's a little bit overexposed, but yeah, we can get some pretty cool prints, some models for tabletop gaming, whether you're doing painting and so on and so forth. Resin printing is a thing, and it's coming to the point of where, yeah, a lot of people are getting into it. It's more user friendly, and Lychee Slicer Pro, which is a slicer company that slices the model, that puts it into a format that is recognized by your resin printer, is now adding a subscription library service. And so we're going to be taking a look at that. That is kind of an interesting thing. And I know for older people like me, and I might not look too old because I shaved off the goatee and the scruff here, so I'm looking a little younger. I don't know. I'm getting some age lines here, and I'm getting kind of the neck and all that stuff. Of course, I'm going to be 58, so yeah, it stands to reason. Maybe I'll grow the scruff back. Should I grow it back? The goatee that I was wearing before? Put that in the comments section down below. I'd like to know whether you like me now or before. And personally, I kind of like the goatee action. But anyway, with that being said, let's take a look at Lychee Slicer and the subscription service. So we're going to dip into what we have online here, and boom. Let's see if we can get rid of that. So that way you clean things up. Now this is Lychee Slicer Pro, and what we can end up doing is we can go through and you can import models, and let's say we want to do a test print of minis, and we'll take a look at this one here. I've been doing some testing, and Lychee Slicer Pro, what it'll end up doing is putting these models onto the build plate for your machine, and for the specific resin you have to dial all this stuff in, and there are the models. This one's in red because it was a pre-supported model, so it comes up. But you can see all the details on here are going to be absolutely insane, and along with some other things, there's the body and the torso of a Warhammer 40K figure. You can see the chains and all that stuff. We're getting some pretty wild details. There's some dark elf action there that we printed out, and doing some testing on some He art and engineering resin. So yeah, this is what we ended up doing. We sliced this up. But if you look at the top here, we now have a library where now if you have a subscription service to Lychee Library, you have a one-stop shop for your slicing needs, and of course your models that you can find online. So we're just going to go ahead and we'll hit that, and there is the library. So we got a bunch of different stuff. We have all the models that are available: 3D printer, gadget, home and household, art and design, miniatures and tabletop, figures and fan art, and then we have fashion, cosplay, games, and toys. So yeah, we've got a lot of different things here, and it also depends on the printer that you're using. So if we go over here in the top right, we see that we have for all 3D printers, which includes FDM printers and resin printers. So but just kind of scrolling through here, what we end up seeing is that you can kind of, roll over on this. It will give you kind of an expanded view of what the model is, and it shows you down on the bottom here where it says unsupported, and this is resin. That's unsupported resin, unsupported resin. There's one from Lychee, the mascot, unsupported resin, unsupported resin. So a lot of these are resin and they're unsupported. So in other words, this one is pre-supported, so that's kind of good. Unsupported. It seems okay. There are some good models on here. But we also there's also some problems as well, and we're going to talk about that. So let's say we just want to look at resin printing, and so we choose resin printing, and it'll go through and scrub the library. And what we end up having is a bunch of things. You can also scroll through the pictures here on it, which is a nice function so that you can kind of get a better view. What I don't like are libraries where you click on an item and you can't scroll through and see the different pictures of the items being printed. With that being said, I don't like libraries where models have not been tested and supported and printed. In other words, somebody just makes the model and they haven't printed it out. That's kind of problematic. So we've got a lot of different features here. We got like 39 pages of different models, and when these come up, these are the most popular, and there's only 770 models. Which, if you look on some other, some Patreon or some places like Cults 3D, you'll find that there are thousands and thousands. Now, to be fair, Lychee has just started their library. This went live, I think, like yesterday or the day before. So I was kind of scrolling through here. So while it has just started, it's kind of interesting. It is a smaller library. What I find interesting is that they do have some decent models, but then they also have stuff that's kind of like this here, and you might want to cover your eyes. They have some explicit content here, and if we look at some of these pictures, you can see these are kind of graphic. And if that's your thing, then that's absolutely fine. But the problem is that if you have children and you don't want them to see this explicit content, you should be aware that your kids can see this stuff. Is it a big deal for adults? I don't think so. Maybe it is for some. I'm just stating it is what it is in regards to what they put on here. So they do have explicit content. Now, originally when this pops up, you can choose to have it blurred, but you can still click on it and see it. I think there needs to be some type of parental controls for this. And that would kind of ease the mind of, some of this stuff, that we end up seeing. If you do you want your kid to, is that really appropriate for children? I don't think so. I definitely think there needs to be some parental controls for this stuff. And I wish there was some type of identification on things like that would have like a explicit tag on what you end up seeing here. And I wish there was some controls that were on this library where, adults or parents or whatever, even if you're an adult and you don't want to see that explicit content, that there is a way that you could exclude all of that explicit content from the library and make it more user-friendly and family-friendly and things like that. But at least give people the opportunity of whether they want to see it or not, and there should be especially some type of parental controls with this. We could look at like different parts, resin calibration, and there's one, the print that they end up having, it's nothing. I would think there would have been more for the calibration prints, parts and accessories. Like I said, it's a brand new library. They're not going to have a lot of stuff, console and video game stuff. That's pretty much a Switch dock, and that's the only thing you're going to get. Look through, we have home and household, and we've got a number of things on here. And this is where you'll end up seeing more filament-minded models rather than 3D resin printed models. And so we got kind of just some basic stuff. An LED arch, that's kind of cool. That's kind of a resin print, but I would think that you would want that as an FDM print. But there's other places online that you could get like printables, things, STL Finder. There's a number of other sites where you can scour and find free models that are kind of on par with what we're seeing here. And like with Colts 3D, it's not an online physical library that's attached to a slicer program, but there's tons and tons of things that you can get. So, it just seems it's definitely small. So for home and household, all of these things, you only have like 2 pages. And again, you're looking at what? 3, 6, 1, 2, 3, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 times 5 is 15. So you have 15. So you have a total of 30 items under home and household. So yeah, it's definitely a beginning library. If we look at art and design, we have sculptures, busts, vases, wall decorations, things like that. And well, that's it right there. We got 6, 7, 8. We've got there. So yeah, they need to build the library up, and I assume that over time, Lychee is going to attract more content creators and more model makers and artists and sculptors who make some awesome products. And there are a few things on here that I like. When we get to miniatures and tabletop, that's kind of where I reside. And what we end up seeing is the most popular models here, everything from fantasy to dices. It should be dice towers, because you put your dice in the top and then it slides down the bottom. But yeah, you've got four of those things. Machine and vehicles we go through. I was kind of excited to see this. Again, this is a subscription service that you're going to be paying for, and we're going to go over the pricing for that. But yeah, you got maybe a couple pages. Well, no, 1 page plus 1. We go to the creatures, which should have a lot of good stuff. And what we end up seeing here is, creature armory. That's all. Rescaled miniatures is pretty good. They've got some, that's some cool reptiles and dragon type figures. They've got some really good products. But, kind of the other stuff that we end up seeing here, kind of some more graphic content. Again, parental controls is something that you probably want. Printed Obsession, they've had some good things on there. So you've got like 9 pages of different creatures and things like that when we come up onto this page. But some of this stuff is, as far as the quality, if you're paying for a monthly subscription service to have unlimited access to all of this stuff, I'm not really, it doesn't really flip my lid in regards to all of what they offer right now. Now, again, the caveat is that they just opened this up, and so their library is small, and it should grow over time. But yeah, as you can see here, I mean, for a paid subscription service, nothing is really jumping out at me in regards to, would this really make me say, hey, I'm really going to go print that? Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything right now. And I'm kind of the guy that prints out a variety of different things, and if it looks cool and engaging, I'm not stuck on one genre. But yeah, I'm not really, nothing's really jumping out. I mean, you can see some of this stuff, and does that really flip your lid? And or how about that there? How about this here? The merchant. I don't know, not really. How about this guy here? Pre-supported, that's kind of good. Yeah, I'm just not seeing a lot of things as I scroll through this library. Now, I should tell you that I don't have a subscription for this. So what I do applaud Lychee is that you're able to browse the library and everything that they have while not paying for a subscription. There are some things that I've seen online where it says they only give like a few examples, and then you pay the subscription, and then you look at it and then you're like, yeah, this was kind of a waste of my money. I'm not saying this is the case here, but it's good. I think this is truth in advertising when we look at this, because a lot of these models are not something that really jump out at me and, scream, hey, I need to print this, and so that's going to justify me buying a subscription to this. A lot of these figures are, they're there. There are some good ones there, but really, we just looked over 9 pages of creatures, And I'm, maybe that Printed Obsession has some good stuff, but even then, it's kind of like, I don't know. That's probably the best of the best. Yeah, but this other stuff here, it's just not my cup of tea. And then if we got war and historical, we look at these different types of figures. Kind of the same thing, and what we end up with, we get a rehash of vehicles and historical things and, cavalry, tanks, World War I, World War II type of stuff. When we get down to characters, I was expecting a lot more than what they had. And even then, it's, again, bath time goblin, it's kind of explicit. And what we end up seeing, yeah, it's got the little things there. Explicit content, that should be on the beginning page showing that this is explicit, and there should be some type of setting that you can toggle that you could exclude explicit content, in my opinion. So let's see, rescale miniatures is pretty good. We can take a look at that. But again, finding one or two items on this, is that really going to justify the price of what we end up seeing? The good thing is that they even have a 3D library, supposedly. Well, I guess not. Guess that doesn't work. And and if we go down to sci-fi, what we end up with is kind of a similar thing. What we end up seeing is a number of items. Well, it's not even that many items. That's it. 9 under sci-fi. That is really, I was expecting a lot more. Let's go down to figures and fan art, because usually that you will have a lot more figures. And what do we get down to? We got about 20 pages of stuff, and most of these are resin prints. Let's see, that's filament, pre-supported, that's resin. So we've got some items here, like Cardoso 3D. They've got some good prints, unsupported resin. So that's kind of nice. Here's another one from them with a, what is that, a Venom type of thing. But as we go through here, some minor Pokemon stuff. But I'm just not seeing a lot of stuff that jumps out at me and says, hey, buy me. Maybe one or two items, but really for something that is a subscription service that has unlimited downloads, I'm just really, personally, I'm not feeling it. Now, maybe this is totally subjective, because what one person likes, another person hates, and vice versa. So somebody might be looking at this and saying, hey, this is awesome, this is incredible, I get great value for my money in the subscription service. But for me personally, yeah, I'm just not really feeling it so much. What about the samurai dude there? Maybe. Not really. Yeah, let's get into sci-fi, kind of like the Warhammer 40K-S type of stuff for tabletop gaming. And what do we end up seeing here? You would think there would be some more of that stuff, but that's it? 2 pages? Well, a page in one? Wow. Fashion and cosplay, that's kind of interesting, because a lot of people are getting into cosplay. A lot of this stuff is intricate details, jewelry, printing, and things like that. And that's it. That's all you've got is 1 page. Now let's take a look at the Stormtrooper. Printed Obsession, unsupported resin. And again, this is something that kind of bothers me, because if you have something that's unsupported and it's resin printed, hasn't been printed before, hasn't been verified that it will print, this just kind of makes me a little standoffish. Nothing against Stormtrooper and this Printed Obsession person. We can actually go and click on their thing, and it shows all of the items that they have. 3D models, they have 81 models, and so you can search by, the artist, and it's like, okay. And then you have a forward and back button, so that's kind of good. Kind of like a web-based browsing experience. So we have a stormtrooper type, cyberpunk type of thing here, and that actually looks kind of interesting. So if you wanted to, on this bottom right, you could import this default model. And what this will end up doing is importing it into your slicer, and there it is. So probably what we should end up doing is, well, we should move that out of the way, and then what we'll end up doing is just getting rid of this stuff here. And then we'll move this back, and will that fit? So you'd have to scale this down. Now, that is a pre-supported model, and that could be all right, and it's got some holes in it, so we know that it's hollow, so that's kind of a good thing. That is a huge, huge footprint. That is huge. So it has this line type of base that we have, which is pretty good, because if you put just a huge raft on that, that would create a huge amount of suction. But the thing is that if you actually wanted to print this, if you'll click on it, you'll notice that you don't have any of these things, because it says that everything is basically locked. You know, the scale, the this, the that, everything that you would be able to do on here is locked. So we can't even scale this down. And this is in preview mode only, and you can't export or slice this because you have to subscribe to the library. But I will give kudos to Lychee for putting it in and allowing it to go onto your build plate to see what you're getting. So I like the fact that, you know, there's a pre-supported model, and if it wasn't, you can see what you're getting. You would be able to zoom in and kind of look at these details. For such a big model, the details on this are pretty rough, I will say. And this is a preview mode only. So the question I have here is the image degraded in regards to the details, because they don't want you to photo capture it or some type of thing and try to steal the print, the model itself, and that's why it's degraded in regards to the clarity and the details? Or is this what you're going to be getting? And for if that's what you're getting, I'm not really impressed with that quality. Maybe as a smaller, if you shrunk it down to size in regards to scale, then it might be more acceptable. But yeah, this is what it is. So if we wanted to actually do this, then it says that you have to, how do you import this? So let's go to import. No, we can't do that. Primitives. I think there should be a button on here that says whether you want to go to and how you can subscribe to this service, which there isn't, which I find is not really user-friendly. I think if you have something on here where you import a model from the library and you're not signed up for the subscription service, there should be a button that just populates up here, you know, upgrade or, you know, get a subscription. So while I was playing around with this, if I go up here to the top, you have your individual subscription. So I have a subscription to Lychee Slicer Pro. And if we go up here, now we can end up taking a look, and you can manage your account. So we also have library settings, which is there. And if we go here, manage your account, and maybe, yeah, I think this is it right here. So as soon as it connects, and what we end up, you have different versions of Lychee. You can get the free version, which is a free day, 30-day free trial of Lychee Plus. Display, export your prints, this is kind of the Barney thing, but now it's a 30-day trial for Lychee Plus. For Plus with features to master any slicing project, now it's, you know, euros, basically 10 euros. And then if you want the library, now that's 14 euros. How much does that come out to? And let's click on upgrade subscription. Hopefully this just doesn't automatically, oh, you got to hit the arrow button. You can't just hit the button itself. And what we end up seeing here, even though it's kind of small for 1 month, we're looking at 14.99 euros. And if you do it for the year, it's about 149 euros. How much does that come out in math? Let's see. I know what we can end up doing. So how much per month? 14.99. Yes, we can copy. We'll do this to USD, and we end up, that's 16, almost 17, 16.75 a month for what we just saw, and that's for the monthly service. So if we end up doing the yearly, we copy that, I bet you it's going to be like a couple bucks less. And so let's see, what was it, 149.99, seriously, divide that by 12, yeah, it's going to be 12.49. So if we go back to this and we go to 12.49, and that comes out to basically $14. Yeah, I don't know if that is going to be worth. And of course now, so where is my, okay, there's the library. We're back to the library. And I can close this out. Is this really worth, $12 to $14 for this type of service? I'm gonna say, for me, I don't think so. That's not gonna be something that I would, really see. All of that is offered on here, and I went through everything. I didn't even hit the games and toys, but there's some articulated things. Let's go back and take a look at that. Let's go back to here, and now we'll go to here, and with Lychee and the articulated stuff, why is this, there we go, and we got some articulated things. I printed out an articulated Cobra the other day. That's it. That's yeah, I'm just not really feeling it in regards to what we end up seeing here on the Lychee Slicer Pro subscription service for basically what, $12 to $14. I don't know, $14 and what was the other one? Was $16. I think it came out to, yeah, $16.75 was basically what it came out to. I don't think that with the current state of the Lychee Pro Slicer library as a subscription service, I just don't think there's enough quality there that I'm personally interested in, and I know this is totally subjective. There are people out there probably looking at this and saying, oh, that's the hottest thing in the world. I would definitely get my money's worth for unlimited prints on the Lychee Slicer Pro library. For me, from what I'm seeing right now at this current point in time, and I'm sure this will change over time, is I just don't see value in that. I see the prices being a bit too high. When you're looking at $14 to almost $17, the two price differences, I don't really see that. And I think there should be some things added to this. And again, we talked about the parental controls because there's explicit content. Again, when you're going through the library and looking through all the photos, there should be something that says explicit. You should be able to go through the settings page, and clearly there should be parental controls. If you don't want to see explicit content, then you shouldn't have to see that. I think that should be a user-friendly thing. Not that I don't mind explicit content, to each their own, but at least cater and give people the ability of whether they want to see that or not. And especially when you have people that have children, and that type of content might not be age appropriate. So there should be some parental controls, in my opinion. With that said, I think the prices are a little bit too high. You know, you're looking at $16.75 a month for unlimited, or you're looking at basically $14. Again, for me, I don't think the worth is there. Just for me, this is just my 2 cents. Maybe over time and after the library grows, because this was just released. So, you know, the thing that we end up seeing here is that the library is obviously small. They're going to get more content creators, model creators, so on and so forth, and artists. And I'm sure we'll have people migrating over from, you know, Coles 3D and a lot of the other online things and Thingiverse and this and that. And artists that will bring models to the table and bring their entire collections. It just depends on the payout. But as I see it right now, as an end user at this point in time, I just don't see the value in having such a high price. One thing I would like to see with this Lychee library is as you're going through and you're taking a look at a model, like say, let's say we take a look at this, and the only way that you can get this is if you have that monthly subscription service. This is for Resin and FDM printing, and yeah, it's kind of a cute little thing. What I would like to see is probably a pay per model type of service. So in other words, if you have the option to do a monthly subscription or the yearly subscription, which gives you a lower price, but I still think it's overpriced. But if you're on here and you want to buy a one-off thing, because honestly, I only found like 2 or 3 different models, and even then, after zooming into the close-up of some of these models, it's just like, yeah, I'm just not seeing the details that I would expect for having a paid service. I think you should have a one price that you could pay. And so, in other words, if you want this model, hey, pay $5 for it, you know, and you can pay and download for individual models. I think that would be a great addition to this as well. For any library service, you should have subscription services, and then you should also have pay individually for each model, and that would widen the demographic that you're trying to get. You would appeal to a wider audience, in my opinion. Now, I'm old. I'm going to be 58 here, and unfortunately, I'm of the age of where you bought a program, you owned the program. So this whole subscription thing, I don't like it. I get it. That's where we're all going. But eventually, I mean, how far are we going to take this? How far are we going to do this subscription thing? Eventually, I think we'll get to a place of where, you know, if you want to text or email, it's going to be a subscription service. Like way back in the day when texting first became a thing, that you paid money for so many characters. Eventually, I think history is going to repeat itself. They're going to put limits on how much you can text or email or whatever. Lord, I hope I'm wrong, but I'm kind of seeing that based off of what we saw in the past in history. And subscription services, everything is on subscription now. Programs, this, that, you know, we see it in electronics, and we see it, hell, even in the electric cars that we have. Oh, you can't have this service, which is a normal service or a normal amenity that you would have for a car in the past with older cars. But with newer cars, oh, if you want the heated seat, you got to pay for the subscription service. Seriously, or the air-conditioned seats. Or if you want max AC, now you have to buy a subscription to get a better air conditioner, even though it's sitting in your car and you bought the car. I'm getting sick and tired of subscription services. With that said, I do understand it's a great way for people to get items and to get paid as content or model creators, artists, to get their things out into the hands of the public, of us who want to print and make these cool things in our resin or FDM printers. But yeah, I think there's a point of where there needs to be the balance of what you regard as value versus the subscription price. And I think we're just kind of going overboard here. You know, from everything to music streaming to videos to this to that. I'm getting tired of the subscription stuff. But I know that's the way of the world, and I think with Lychee Slicer Pro, with their library, as small as it is, and like I said, it just came out, It's got a lot of growing to do, and me personally, I don't see the value in that. I would not pay those prices of $14, $16, almost $17 a month to get unlimited printing for things that I look through the entire library at this point in time, and it's like, yeah, maybe 2 or 3 things. I'm just not feeling it. But that's just me. Again, it's totally subjective. And we're going to close this out. This is only going to be a short video. You might be thinking a 35-minute video is short. Yeah, you ought to see some of my longer ones. But with that being said, there's a couple of things that you can do for me. Leave a comment in the comment section down below what you think of this Lychee Slicer Pro library subscription service. Yay or nay? And, do you think the price is too high? Is it too low? Is it acceptable to you? Do you think there should be parental controls on libraries like this for people with young children or people that don't want to see explicit content? Maybe that should be a feature. We have features and options for everything else in the world. Why isn't that a feature here in the Lychee subscription slicer library thingy that we just looked at? I don't know. That would be something that would come to mind so that you appeal to a greater audience. But be sure to like and subscribe to The Varied Life that you can see up there on YouTube. If you're watching this, you'll also see it on Facebook. But please go to the channel, like and subscribe, because that's what YouTube does. And I need all the help I can get. And I don't even have a subscription service. I'm not asking for a subscription. I'm just likes and subscribes. However, with that being said, you can buy me a coffee at the link down below, which I would really appreciate. And these are some awesome people that have bought me coffees. Fred, Mike, Jim, John, and Kyung Sung. Just great people that bought me coffees. And those people bought me coffees because of my other content on my YouTube channel where I talk about being retired overseas, and I'm retired in Korea. Yeah, you wouldn't think I'm retired in Korea, but I actually retired and we live in Korea, and that's our full-time gig now. So with that being said, if you're interested in retiring overseas or Korea, we have videos that documented our journey as we left the United States, sold everything. We lock, stock, and barrel, everything, including the kitchen junk drawer, we sold and got rid of. And we had a couple of suitcases and we came and we're retired here in Korea. So if you have questions, we have an email address down there that you can ask me questions about our retirement. If you have business inquiries or you want me to review stuff, I would really like to do that because being retired, I have some time on my hands. And so I'm trying to fill the holes, and I would really like to review some cool equipment, whether it's 3D resin or 3D FDM printing or maybe laser etching and cutting modules, things. That would be kind of cool. So yeah, I'm up for that, and I've got some experience, and it would be great to do unboxing videos and seeing if an item lives up to its claims. Then contact me on that email, or even if you just have questions, you can use that email. So with that being said, you can buy me coffee, like, subscribe, all of that. Appreciate that. Put your thoughts, concerns, suggestions, what you think about subscription services and the Lychee Slicer Pro, the whole 9 yards on this, their subscription library, yay or nay? What do you say? All right, thanks. And we will see you on the next video. Peace.